13.6 miles, 8 minutes, 26 seconds per mile today in the Odyssey React Flyknit version 2. Temps right around the freezing point today, and I was a little bit worried that I was underdressed as I first started the run, but it turned out I was dressed just fine, as I was lucky that the winds were relatively mild for most of the run today. So if the winds were a little bit stronger, I think I probably would have been a bit cold, but things turned out fine. I found a little bit of a new half marathon length route for me to run today, and I've been pretty happy about that. There's been a couple of little changes that have made my runs a little bit more difficult to reach that 13.1 mile mark. And one of the reasons is that there's a flyover that they built in Chicago, so that way runners can avoid some more traffic. It's not a very long one yet. They're still building it, but they've opened part of it, and that makes it a little bit easier for me to avoid some traffic right around Navy Pier, which is a high car traffic and pedestrian traffic area. But that also shortened my route a little bit. Plus, with the snow and ice, I haven't been able to run the normal part out towards the planetarium where I get those views looking back at the city. And so a lot of times when me and my running buddy have been going out and we're coming back, we'll have to like run around kind of the end near in the park where we start and stop. But today I was able to run out. I did a route, and instead of kind of turning back where I normally do, I kept going a little bit further on the museum campus, which is that area where the planetarium is. You have the planetarium, the aquarium, and the Natural History Museum all in the same place, so museum campus. And so I ran by the Field Museum, which is the Natural History Museum, and then also by Soldier Field, which is also in that same area. And that gave me the 13.6 and change miles for today. And I did it today in the Odyssey React 2, and I'm really liking that shoe a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it would just be kind of feel like a cheaper version of the Epic React in kind of all regards, and that I wouldn't like it as much, but I'm finding it to be a really resilient and really capable shoe, which I really wasn't expecting. It does have what I think is thinner amount of React in the midsole and more rubber on the bottom, which I thought might lead to a little bit of a stiffer ride or a less comfortable ride. And I can definitely feel a difference, but it's pretty subtle. But overall, in terms of running with the Odyssey React 2 for a longer distance today, a little bit more than a half marathon length distance, I thought it did really fantastic. I didn't even notice. Like normally when I'm on a longer run, I kind of do like a mental check-in with myself every couple of miles to see how am I feeling? Are my feet feeling anything weird? Are my joints feeling anything weird? And I just completely forgot about the shoe until about mile 11. And the other thing that I did differently today was this was an uninterrupted run. A lot of time on my runs, even especially like my run commutes when I'm running through the city a little bit more, I'll stop periodically to set the camera down, set the camera going, and then run kind of back and forth in front of it to get those set shots. And that causes a break in my running. And today I didn't do that, so an uninterrupted run. And I just felt really, really good. I wasn't planning on doing that, but because I was feeling so good, I thought, you know what, let's just make it an uninterrupted run. That's something I usually only focus on doing as I get closer to a marathon, and I don't really worry about that so much in the winter when I'm really far away and I'm just working on building miles. But it felt really good to be able to do that in the pace that I did it. I tried to keep it at a moderate to moderate easy pace. I didn't want to work too hard today because I knew I was going to be going out for another run the following day. And right now, since I'm not actively training for a longer race, I didn't really feel like a need to really push myself. So just working on building that mileage base, building in those aerobic miles in the wintertime, which has been my goal for the entire season. I didn't get any of the hot spots that I normally get, or not normally, but can occasionally get in a React foam shoe. But I did notice that like around mile 12, in my right foot and a little bit in my left foot as well, my feet started to feel a little bit of that fatigue that you get when you take a little bit of a pounding in terms of the road miles. The right foot more so than my left foot. And it wasn't painful, but it was starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. Not quite to the uncomfortable level yet, but starting to get there. I think if this was like a 17 to a 20 mile run, I'm not sure that I would have been happy today. I don't know that that's necessarily a fault of the shoe. That might be more a reflection of the state of the strength of my feet this time of the year. But it's just something that I did notice. So around the 12-mile mark, I felt a little bit of discomfort. To put it into comparison, when I ran in the Epic Reacts about the same distance, about the same route 2 weeks ago, I didn't feel any of that. I just felt like I had a really great run the entire time and that the React foam was really keeping up with me. This time, I don't know if it's that extra rubber that's doing it or what I think is a thinner React midsole that's making the difference, or maybe it's just my feet. It could be any one of those three, or most likely a combination of all three to have me feeling what I was feeling around mile 12 in the Odyssey React. And so a lot of you guys have still been asking me, like, when would I pick each one? And I think that for the most part, for me, having both of these shoes, if I'm looking for a React shoe that day and I'm going shorter, I'd probably pick the Odyssey React, and longer, I'd go for the Epic React. But I think that a lot of it's just going to come down to personal preference. And I'm thinking that most people will probably buy one or the other shoe. I don't really think you need both of these shoes in your closet. I think the comparison, or the way these two are related in my mind, is more like the differences between a sedan and a coupe, the 4-door and the 2-door. For most people, when driving a car that's a 4-door or 2-door, they might not even know the difference from the driving position in terms of road feel, the car handling mechanics, because they don't have preferences at the margins where the differences might be a little bit more prominent. And so I think for most people, they won't even notice a difference between the two in terms of which one do I like more. But if you have a strong feeling one way or the other, I think that's when you're really going to be like, yes, the Epic React is definitely for me, or definitely the Odyssey React is for me. And I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that feel that way, but I think for the majority of runners, it's just going to come down to, do I like the way the toe box feels in one shoe versus the other? How do I feel when standing in the shoe, running around in the shoe a little bit, or just walking around? How do I feel in one versus the other? And so it's going to come down to a lot of those preferences, because I think both shoes overlap quite a bit in terms of what they're good at, and the feel, I think, for most people is going to be very similar, if not indistinguishable. So those are just quick update thoughts, taking the Odyssey React on what I think is the longest run I've taken it on. Yeah. Before I go today, I want to talk about the charity runner for the week. The charity runner for the week is 40 Runs and his Ragnar UK relay team. 10 people, 170 miles, 2 days. They're going to be running over road and trail and some fantastic scenery. It's going to be pretty exciting to watch them go through that. I'm looking forward to all the footage and updates from the course that I'm sure we're going to be able to see as they are running that event. The charity that they're raising money for is Teens Unite UK, and one of the goals that they have is to provide emotional and social support for teens who have been affected by cancer. One of the statistics that they cite is that 87% of teens who have a cancer diagnosis and undergo cancer treatment lose touch with their peers. And if any of you guys have had a child, or if you've ever gone through anything as simple as a broken bone in your teenage or in your childhood years, you already understand this effect. The time away from school, just being different from all the other kids because you have this other thing going on, can be ostracizing and isolating in a lot of ways. And so what Teens Unite does is provides both places and opportunities for teens to unite and to create social support structures, which we all know is really important as part of the long-term cancer survival rate and success. And so a very important charity. I've donated £70 to help 40 and his team meet their fundraising goals, and I'll put links in the description in case you guys would like to learn more. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?